Hello there, my name is Ismas and welcome to another Blender tutorial, and this is part 3 of our melting candle project, and this is the effect we are trying to go for, and we have already done the animation of everything. Now let's do the materials. So I'll just go to the shading. Remember, the final project you can be accessed on my Patreon page or Blender one-on-one for free, and the materials as well will be downloadable for free. So let's start with the wax here. So I'll just add a new material here. I'll call it wax because that's what it is, and then I'll go to the render settings, turn on not screen space, but subsurface scattering. That way the light can go through the candle a little bit. So it won't be a fully transparent object. It's kind of the kind of effect you see when you hold your hand in front of a candle or any source of light. The light kind of goes through a bit, but it doesn't go through all the way. That is subsurface scattering, and you just enable it here. And now let's see how to play with it. So just to see the effect work, I'm also going to switch on lighting here for this look dev here, and move our light closer to the light, to the candle. I select the wax. So we have this subsurface scattering turned on here. So we just need to enable it in our materials, and it's here. Let's give it a subsurface scattering of 1. And you can see that light is going through a little bit, but we are seeing a few artifacts in here. It's like repetitions. Repeating patterns here, so you can just come in here and increase the samples to get rid of that, and also maybe increase the jitter threshold a bit, and you can see that will reduce those jitter. I think that's what they are called. So I think the light is also too much, so I can go to the light and change it to maybe 3, just so that it doesn't overpower our scene. I'll also the kind of has that kind of reddish feel that I don't want. It's more like skin. So to change the color that you see on the inside there, you just go to the surface radius and you see 3 values here. The first one is representative of red, blue, and green. So when you touch the red part, you'll see that we are increasing the red within our candle. If you want to reduce it, you just reduce it like that. Here is green. So if you want to more green in your subsurface scattering, if you want more blue, so we want kind of orange, something like that. Again, if you're seeing some artifacts there, you want to play around with the subsurface scattering settings here. They'll be different for cycles, I think. Does it even have the option? It should have the subsurface scattering option. I rarely use cycles because my machine is not that powerful, so but the option should be there. So maybe if you I think when you enable it in the material here, it automatically works with cycles. That's to my knowledge. Let me see here. Yeah, it does, because you can see how the light is getting scattered in the candle. So you don't have to enable it here, you just and there are no issues with the jittering or anything, so that's okay. So let's go back to Eevee, because that's a much faster render engine. We still have some artifacts there, but you can play around and change them with the jitter and samples here. Then we need to have some kind of reflections. We want the candle to be a bit reflective, because that's how wax is. Also, I will also add a flow here. Why did I add that? I'm not sure, so I'll just re-add it. Also, it seems that I'm adding it into the Boolean collection, which is already hidden. So I will unhide it, and then hide it again. Then select the main collection so that I can add this there. And now we can move this. So something like that. So then I think I can also change the color of the candle, of the subsurface color, to a brownish color, or yellowish color. I think the light is still powerful, so I'll change it to about 1 watt. Maybe let me make it 0.5. Because I want to see the wax a little bit more. Maybe move it up a bit. You can see I think this is good. I also split this view so that I can have the timeline here and play this back again. So the problem we are having is that the light is not moving. So I can just give it a simple animation, just top down animation. So where is the light? So it's here. I think the candle wax looks good, even much better than what I had before. So it should start moving around here. Move with the flame. Something like that. Yeah, so for this week, I can just give it a new material and make it black. But it's always burning at the top here where the flame is. So I'll first hide everything so that I can look at this a bit closer. We're still having some issues here with the edges the corners being a bit sharp. So let's see. Yeah, just make sure the subdivisions are set to 1, so set to 2, so that is a bit smooth. So I want this top part to be reddish, like it's burning. So what I'm going to do is add a texture, gradient texture. This will give us a gradient so that we can set the top part be red. So for that, I'll just add a convert color ramp to control the color of the gradient. And if we preview this, you can see we are seeing some black gradient that is turning from white to green. So I need to change the orientation or the rotation of the gradient, but it's really hard to know the direction of the gradient using this shape. So let me first add the texture coordinate mapping. So I hold down Ctrl T to bring up this texture coordinate mapping. This will be only available to you if the shortcut will only work if you have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled. And yeah, you can just go to the settings and find that. But this is what we want. So you want to rotate the gradient to an angle so that it starts from the bottom to up. But it's really hard to figure out the direction of the gradient by just looking at this here. So what I usually do is I add an easier shape like this and assign it the same material as the gradient, which is let's call this, I don't know how it's called that. This, you can see the gradient is coming from this direction to this. We want it to go from down to up, so we need to find the correct rotation for this. So let's try. I don't think this is it. Let's try this, and you can see this is what we have. For some reason this is going from up to bottom, so let me try to apply the scale and rotation, and you can see now we are getting that exactly. So I need to move this around there, bring this back, and that's what we need. So I can make this reddish like that, and maybe not make this a little bit gray like that. And I can also add maybe another color around here so that it really does appear like it's burning. So maybe bring this back a bit. Yeah, something of the sort. Now I don't need this anymore, so I can just unhide that, and you can see we have our flame burning. And I think it's burning too much deep into the flame, so I'll unhide my booleans and move this a bit down, I don't know, maybe around there, and then I can unhide this, hide that again. Now let's work on this flame. flame. So for that, I'm just going to delete this principal shader. Let me first hide everything. And what we want to use is we're going to first add an emission shader. If we just give us a yellow color like that, but usually what you see in a flame, there is it kind of brighter there at the top, and then kind of changes the color as it goes to the bottom, and you can see it's a bit transparent at the bottom here, in the example. So for that, I'm going to add another add shader so that I can mix the different colors here. And then what can I do here? I need to make the bottom part a bit transparent, a bit transparent. So let me find a light flame here that we can look at together as a reference image. So I'll just move this. So you can see it's a bit transparent at the bottom and a bit lighter at the top here. So for that, let's add a shader. We need a transparent shader, and you can see the light is also a bit transparent or translucent, so I will use a translucent shader there. And what I want to do is use a gradient to mix the transparency and the light areas. So I'll add again a texture, gradient texture, and then a color ramp, convert color ramp. See this again, it's really hard to sometimes see the direction of the gradient, but for this we can see that it's going from this side to this side, and we want it to go from bottom to top. So we'll add the mapping here and try and play around with the rotation here to get the correct rotation. That is not working, and that is also not working. This is not working either. Maybe it could be this here. You know what, let me just add a cube, or let's try applying the rotation of this and then adding a cube. Just apply it, give it the same material, just to see, just add, so that we can see the direction of the gradient. Okay, so it's this here. I don't know why it didn't work last time. I think because we didn't apply the rotation. So we need this bottom part to be a bit transparent, so we can add a shader, mix shader, and we need the transparent shader to be down, and we can add the translucent shader around there and use this as the factor. And now if we preview this, we get something like that. I don't know, it's a bit too sharp, so let's just use a diffuse here instead of a translucent. So mix these two. So for the transparency to work, let me first connect this here. So for the transparency to work, so that you can see the other things in the background, let me first unhide this. You need to go to the render settings and turn on screen space reflections, and then turn on refraction. Then you can go under the materials. This is only for Eevee. If you're using cycles, it should work automatically. And let me try and switch to that so that you can see what I mean. I don't know if you can see that, but it should be working correctly there. So let's go back to Eevee. So we still don't see the background through this flame. So we need to go to the material settings and change the blending mode to hashed or blend, but sometimes Blender crashes when I do that, so I'll make sure to save and also move back to this to non-rendered mode, and then change this to blend. And then if we come back here, so I might have, yeah, I think I have these mixed up. Instead of translucent, it should be transparent. And you can see that the bottom part is transparent, but the top part is not. So I just need to switch these around so that the bottom part is transparent, and you can see that we can see through the bottom part but not the top part. And I still want to see through the bottom part a bit, so I will reduce, make it a bit, and maybe give it a color. It's not giving it a color really better, so let's just make it a little bit dark so that we can see through that a bit. And also reduce, just make it a little, let's not make it too gradual, so can be a little faint like that. And now we can select this, duplicate this, use the same gradient, and for this I think we can just use the emission shader here instead of the diffuse to give this the color, but we don't want this to come directly here. We can use it to, we can make it come from the we can make it come from our gradient. So we can start it with kind of yellowish, orange, and then maybe the tip can be a little brighter, so we'll make it more white. You can add in more colors if you want to, but I think this is going to be enough for us. And I can increase the emission strength to something like that. I think this is supposed to be the other way around. And sometimes these gradients are a bit confusing, but yeah, but basically that's how you set that up. And since we have the animation already set, and because I think I applied the rotation, this is also changing the rotation of the flame. So I can just go to edit mode and rotate this there, maybe negative, rotate negative 90, and figure out the correct rotation. But now I need to move the position of the frame, but because I have keyframes set here, what I'm going to do, I only need the keyframes for the Z position, so I'll delete the X and Y, and also the rotation keyframes and the scale keyframes, and switch off the keyframe recording. So now when I move this, what direction is this? Then it should stay in place. But the problem now is that since we have changed the rotation of the gradient has also changed. So we still need to find the correct rotation, and think that is negative 90 for this one. You can see it does take some bit of time to play out, to figure out the timing and everything. But yeah, you give it some time, and you can. And also, I think I kind of messed up the flame a bit, but you can always come to this project here the original project and look at how I set up the frame. So let's look at that for a bit. I think I mixed it. I didn't use the translucent shader, but I did use the add and the emission and mixed it with the transparency. It's not that complicated, but yeah. So I think the flame in this looks better, but the candle here looks way much better. So what you can do is let me just copy the flame I used here. So I'll call these material 02. I'll just copy this and paste it here, then assign it to this one. But again, I need to find the correct rotation of this flame. So it can be 90. Now I just need to flip the transparency on this. Flip this maybe, yeah. So you see this is much better. Make the frame a little bit more visible. You can delete this, and we can go to the background setting, make it dark, and basically this is our candle burning down. We need to offset the candle position a bit. And you can also change the color of the light. And let's first turn off overlays. And for the material here, I'll just copy the material we had here. Let me try this here. Okay, so this is what we have. This is the candle we have, and God, yeah. So you can also animate the light to be a little bit flickering if you want that, but I won't be doing that. And you can also turn on ambient occlusion and also turn on bloom. And you would have your candle. Yes, so if you want to download this project, you'll find it on my Patreon page or Blender one-on-one, and you can download it for free so that you can take a look at the project and see how everything was set up. Anyway, thank you for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next project. Thank you.